And stage 1 fuel is closed out. Falcon 9 is in self-align. Falcon 9 heaters closing out.
Dragon has transitioned to configure for terminal count.
Vehicle tanks pressing for strong back retract.
Strong back retract has started.
Stage 2 RP1 bleed. Stage 1 RP1 bleed. AFTS final setup started. MVAC igniter purges. Pogo bleed.
Dragon has transitioned to terminal count and is on internal power.
Stage 1 LOX load closed out. Vehicle is transitioning to internal power. Stage 2 LOX load is closed out. Propellant fills are complete.
Dragon is in auto idle.
Ground gas closeout is starting.
Falcon 9 is in startup.
Dragon is in countdown.
FTS is armed for launch.
Dragon, SpaceX, go for launch.
T-minus 30 seconds.
Stage 1 tanks pressing for flight.
Hey, Monkey Nation, listen, we've been talking about this for a while now, and if you missed out on the last deal where you got $200 worth of free gear, check out what we've got going on right now. This is over at monkeyworksprep.com. You'll get a 3-month kit, and you'll save $200 right now, and that will not last forever, but for every 3-month kit you buy, you get $200 off. That's a current special that's going, and remember, monkeyworksprep.com. Jump over there and get it now and get that food that you need to get you and your family through the crisis that is coming. It will not last forever. I'm telling you, when you need it, it's going to be hard to get. So don't wait. All right. That is monkeyworksprep.com. And you will be thankful that you did this. God bless. Monkey out. All right. So, hey, welcome, folks. It's going to be our SITREP. It is 11 a.m. Central Time coming to you from the great state of Texas. It is April 12th. 2023. And without further ado, let's hop on over here to our board. We're going to look at Skyglass as always, kicking it off. If you would, make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and bell for notification. That way, when everything starts going hot, I'll be able to get you the latest and greatest information at your fingertips rapidly. So let's see here. We've got some text. If we look at the trainers, we have roughly 54 of those up right now. It was over 100. It was actually about 120 earlier this morning. They have since settled down a little bit. But looking at our screen, if you take those out, we're still at 248. So we were closer, right around 300, I guess. But we take the trainers out. 248 is our number. Again, military-only aircraft. And that's just looking at the United States. Now, if I start to spread that out, we see a lot of things going on. For example, let's get over here to Europe. You can see it's still quite active, given the fact that some of these areas are 8 hours ahead. So you get over here into Germany, you're about 8 hours ahead of the United States. You get here in the UK, I think it's about 6, roughly. And I may be on or off by an hour, but nonetheless, that is where we are right now. And let's do this. Let's go ahead and get into our watch. Let's get some interesting things going on up in the skies today. We're going to talk about a multitude of things, especially the survey aircraft. That's going to be flashbang. Notice he flew into Ireland under NA, as always, not Air Force One. That's somebody that's not proud to be an American. Let me just say that. All right. Okay. B703, that's going to be one of your, that's a Red Eye 6. And that one is basically mapping battlefields. That's what that does. All right. And let's back up just a little bit more, see if we got anything out over the Middle East. I'm not seeing much there. So let's transition on over here to CONUS. Now, what is evident is we've got 2 balloons still aloft over Arizona. Those are going to be your Mil-Intel spy balloons. I don't think I've ever seen them side by side just tracking an area like that. That is not missing much. We'll put it that way. And we've got our normal Texas DOT there in the middle of the great state of Texas. And then if you get up here to the northeast, those are, for the most part, 99.9% of those are going to be your survey aircraft. We'll look at those closer here in just a minute, except for that one. That's going to be a Whitetail 757 and then a little R135, but everything else in general, for the most part, survey aircraft. What are they doing? We'll look at that closer here in a minute. Let's look at the C-17 traffic the last 3 days, just to give you a general idea before we get into the heavies. You'll notice we're running out of the hubs pretty frequently. That is over 150 flights in 3 days. Quite busy. Remember, C-17 is the Globemaster. That's what you saw all of the Afghanistan guys running beside when we were exfilling from the country. And yeah, it's still a lot. Okay, those things can carry quite a bit. Most of the heavy lifting is not being done by our military aircraft. I will tell you that. Most of it's being done by the charters, Coletas, Western Globals, Atlas Airs, etc. But just notice the usual suspect spots. They're in Poland. We get down here to the Middle East, and we seem to be stacking up down there as well. And we'll continue to watch those areas. We got some more activity here in Pakistan, headed to the northern side. I say Pakistan, sorry, India, headed into the northern side near Pakistan. Scratch that, reverse it, and then really light out over the Asia Pacific side. But we get into the other heavies, and it is kind of light today. These are going to be your C-130s and C-17s combined. I didn't add the A-400s, totally missed them, but you will see it is pretty light when it comes to the activity there. We do have a little bit of stuff going on out over the Red Sea. That's going to be US C-130 coming out of Bahrain. And then we've got this stuff headed, a little bit of stuff going on there in Jordan. It looked like Amman, Jordan. And then up here in Poland, you'll see the two spots that we frequent. And then our normal stuff, that's Canada, actually, over the UK. Now let's get over to the CONUS, which is an abbreviation for Continental United States, for those that don't know. And let me get out my jazz hands while we wait for the move. There we go. Notice we've got a little bit of a surge of C-17s coming out of the center of the United States. We've got some activity down in Florida. Most of our activity is going to be focused on the East Coast. Very, very active and busy this morning. Mostly C-130s, so they're going to be little short haul aircraft, right? C-130s, that's going to be your 4-engine prop job, just so you know. Okay, let's get over to this side and let's get into, excuse me, this is going to be your air refuelers. What is going on down here at the Texas border that requires us to do air refueling all the way down to the border? That would indicate we got fighters down near the border. And we've got this out to the west of Lubbock over New Mexico, little air refueling track. Lots and lots of little tracks. Look at this one up north, out over Wisconsin, it looks like. Then off of the coast of Virginia Beach, kind of, let's see, north central Florida. And then we get up here to the northeast, just chock full of air refuelers. All right, now let's talk. Let me see here. 1 second. We're going to get over here to Europe real fast. These, just pay attention. One of the things I will show you as we point out, when I'm looking at air refuelers, just because it is a KC-135 doesn't mean it's a refueler. Notice the reach call sign. That means that thing is moving cargo. And the same thing with the other one here. That's a reach. All right. Also moving cargo. But that is not the same thing as going across. You'll notice a straight line. That's going to be this one right here, which is Roma 31. Now, my understanding is when you have these really long tracks coming across like this, we are typically providing service to fighters making it across the drink. So we will continue to watch that, but that is a good indicator that we just moved some fighters over to Europe. Okay. South of North Korea, we are eyes on. This is going to be R-135s taking off out of Okinawa, and we seem to be really focused on North Korea at the moment. Not seeing anything else in the area other than that. Then the United States is a little interesting. These are different tracks than we normally see. Notice we've got this, looks like a calibration flight right there over Texas, and then we've got that one that looks to be looking at the border. And then we have this one that's kind of running out towards Iowa and Illinois. across kind of the border subsection there. And then we get up here to North Dakota, which looks like they are eyes on something in that general region. And then this little sloppy mess here right in the middle of Kansas. Like I said, we kick it up on the side. Now let's get over to Europe, take a look at what we've got going on there. The usual suspect, we got the lasso around Kaliningrad. So we are completely surrounding Kaliningrad, looking at everything coming in that port as it makes its way to Belarus. And we're looking into Belarus as well. And then the only other thing I saw was out here over the Persian Gulf. Looks to be eyes on both Syria as well as Iran. As we look, as you can see that little route we're flying right there, headed looking at Iran. Okay. All right, let's take a look at the Intel aircraft. Now, we'll talk about the serious stuff going on in eastern Syria today. We've actually got more activity there with U.S. troops in Iran and somebody else. All right, over here to the U.S., this is going to be your intelligence birds. Notice they are flurrying out of Tucson. That's kind of the usual. We get up here to the East Coast. We've got some stuff going on between Virginia, West Virginia, doing some little loop-de-loops. And then we get up here. That is going to be that Dash 8 with the funny-looking nose on it out to the western side of Winnipeg. Now let's get over to Europe. Notice we've got some stuff running out over the Baltic Sea. This right here is where it's going to be your pipeline, or what used to be the pipeline. And then this is Latvia as well. And let's see, they're also looking at stuff. Look at the trace there. This looks a lot like our survey lines, which I find interesting. So are we doing some survey stuff there in Latvia? I don't know. But we definitely are getting a hard look at something out there. And then notice here too, we got the normal flight that we see looking out at Moldova as well as Crimea. Eyes on those two. And then this down in Bucharest in Romania, you can see we've got more activity. We seem to have that pretty frequently between there and Hungary. So I don't know what we're looking at. And then this flight, notice it comes in over Amman, Jordan. Notice that they're running up and down that border, looking into Israel. That'll be the ancient Samaria, a.k.a. the West Bank, right in there. So, yeah, they definitely are looking at something going on over there. All right, let's get into the surveys. We're going to talk this for a second. Now, I've got over 100 surveys in the last 3 days. Notice we have some transitions. We've got some things that came out of Los Angeles, and I can't tell if it went east or west, but these longer lines are transitions. We have some things happening south of Reno, Salt Lake City, Utah, more surveys. Denver, Colorado, more surveys. Right? Looking over the major city areas. And even when we get over here over Kansas, I've got to figure out, because we've been looking at Kansas a lot, how close that is to Fort Knox. And that's where we keep the gold, folks. All right. You can see some transition there in and out of Santa Fe, New Mexico, South Dallas, North Dallas, right? It's a pretty big red area right there. And then we get down near Houston. That looks to be transition again. Notice Atlanta. They are beating a path down over Atlanta. That's headed northbound up towards Kennesaw, Marietta, that general area. South Carolina, North Carolina. Nothing going on down in Florida. But again, these are not just rail companies. These are actually proper survey companies that do LiDAR, etc. And then look at this. Well, we'll get back to that. Let's pan out. We're going to circle the wagon, so to speak. Kentucky, close look there. Indiana. Then we get over to Chicago area, and we're just beating down a path. We get south of Minneapolis, south of Rochester, and you can see a lot going on there, south of Sioux Falls. Again, these are areas that they have just been inundating with these survey flights. This is where the majority of the populace stays, right? And this is where most of them live. So up in the Northeast, and then over Maryland, Delaware, Virginia. Now, look at this. That's right over the White House, folks. All of this. So, yeah. And they're getting different angles and different looks. It's like they are painting a 3D picture. So when they have to move out. Now, one thing that is apparent to me, and I'm just going to point this out. We know these are not state-driven activities because they're going across multiple states. That tells you that these aren't independently state-run activities. This is a federal-run activity. So this is probably going to be DOD or a Fed contract. So it could be Homeland Security, something along those lines. But they have eyes on a lot of stuff right now. And we need to pay very, very, very close attention to that. Notice I threw a third ferry in there for you. But this is, to me, I think if they're not planning for some type of invasive force, then they are probably looking either for Club Ks or this is martial law that they're preparing for. One or the other. They are looking hot and heavy for something, or they're mapping out something so that they have a plan of action to execute. You can imagine what the United States would look like if we go to war and things go hot here in the United States domestically, right? They're going to have to lock everybody down to try and contain all of it, okay? So I will continue to watch this and report on it. There is definitely something amiss here that I don't believe is good. My spidey instincts are saying this is not good for us, the citizens. There's something definitely up here. Okay. Let's move on from this. Let's get over to, actually, let's just get into the news cycle, and then we'll start breaking away on some of this other stuff. All right. So this is going to be Europe. Like I said, we'll just click on the type aircraft here. And it is pretty active. That's 60 aircraft up, given the time of day over there. It's pretty, getting pretty late. So, okay. Let's go over here to our latest stuff. We're going to look at the volcanic activity. Satellites watch Russian volcano erupt and blanket villages in ash. And you can see these ash clouds just kind of spewing across. Now, we're going to look closer at this because look at that ash. That's being covered by Bloomberg. That is incredible. I will tell you, this right here, as much as it looks like snow, it is not good. That stuff gets in, and you see people out here playing, doing snow angels in it. It gets into your lungs. You can't get it out. It's like very fine particles of glass, and it just becomes like a muddy glass inside and coats your lungs, and it will kill you. You will suffocate. It's not a good way to go. I will tell you that. So that's what it looks like on ground. Let's get up here in the air and take a look. This is flight radar. These are actually the pilot warnings. So this tells them not to fly into this. Now this flies right. I mean, this ash cloud is flying. It's right in the area where transcontinental flights take place. So everything going into Asia and out of Asia is in this. So this could technically shut down a lot of air traffic headed back across the drink this way. That means they would have to go further up out over the arch and then come down. So very, very interesting. But let's see, we can just click on these, give you kind of a general idea what these look like. As you can see the different levels, plus 18, plus 12, plus 6, forecast ash area. Let's see if we've got flight level 31,000. Yeah, so it looks like 32,000, 31,000. So these folks are going to be flying well above that to get over to that area if they go over this. And yeah, so which is higher than usual. 36, 38,000 is kind of where you will see the commercial traffic kind of cap. It's, you may see them from time to time punch in 40, 42,000, but it's pretty rare. Anything above 40 is typically not commercial aviation related. They have that range for commercial, usually around 28,000 up to about 40,000 is kind of their bandwidth in terms of altitude allocations. All right. Now this, notice we still have this one in Japan firing. Ibu is firing down here, and that looks like that's a twofer. Yeah, Dukono and Ibu both flying, popping off, and then this stuff down here in Central and South America. So pretty active for volcanic activity. This is insane. And if that ash cloud continues, depending on which way the jet stream is moving, that could suck ash out over the United States and give us a little bit of ash here across our country. So, okay, let's get over here to Breitbart. Now, this is very concerning when we start talking about the Gestapo and their activities. This guy, Hawley, is saying that the FBI is infiltrating churches and spying on Americans. Can you imagine that? Now, I will tell you, it started out talking about the Catholic Church specifically, but it has since changed. It's not just Catholic churches. They are talking to a lot of people in a lot of churches, are actually not talking, but watching a lot of people in churches across our country. So these folks have no limits. And until somebody actually reels them in, which I doubt that's going to happen, they are very much acting like the Gestapo. Okay, here's Flashbang's schedule. He is in Ireland, showing in Dublin, 9:20 a.m. And then, of course, he is headed to a cemetery. Interesting. And, yeah, looks like that's where he's going to be for the day. All right, let's get on over here. All right, let's talk our economy for a couple minutes here. This is Walmart abandons unprofitable Chicago stores after investing hundreds of millions in the city. They're saying basically they're shuttering 4 unprofitable stores, which is half their footprint in that area, because it is crime-ridden and depressed, and they're losing money hand over fist. Again, it's just a further line of information or indications that our economy is coming to a very bad place. The fact that Walmart is starting to shutter stores, and the fact that Amazon is also laying off people, Walmart's laying off people, McDonald's is actually laying off people. So, yeah, it's not going to be long now, folks. All right, another one for you. Saudi Arabia is buying Russian oil to evade the U.S. sanctions. Yeah, they're playing middleman here. Actually, they're buying from Russia, and then they're turning around and selling it. This is kind of interesting, but the big takeaway is that they're probably doing it not in the petrodollar, but in the new petro yuan, because that is how this is all shaken loose. So we get over here to this, and this is the dollar. And you can see that it is down 0.68 on the day. This is the daily dollar dump. And you can see here, this at 8 a.m., it just did a free fall. And then it's since leveled out, it's back down, headed downward right now. We get back over the last 5 days, you can see it is very volatile. It's kind of bouncing up and down. It had a little bit of a gain. This looked to be a Monday morning pump, probably by the Fed or someone to get the dollar value back up, and then it just bleeds down, and then we pump it up again. So, all right, we'll keep our eye on that. Now, here is a cause for concern. South Korea to lend us 500,000 rounds of artillery shells, and this is where it gets really interesting, because you think about the position that we're in right now, the fact that we are getting ready to go into a war with 2 of the 3 top military forces in the world, Russia and China. China is actually the biggest military in the world, and we are borrowing ammunition because we've pushed everything into Ukraine. I'm telling you, I don't care if it's the head of the snake or the tail of the snake, you still got the snake. And it looks like Ukraine is the snake that we have invested in over the last 80 years since World War II. And this is coming back to bite us. And, you know, all I can say is it serves us right. I hate to say that because I love this country, but the corruption in this country has no ends. And this is where it gets you, okay? And so us, the citizens, are going to have to sit back and watch us just completely crumble and dismantle in a very short period of time, and probably not be able to do anything about it. All because the leaders that we elected have failed to do what they're supposed to do. So this right here, again, we just signed an agreement with South Korea for 500,000 rounds of 155 Mike artillery shells that would give Washington greater flexibility to supply Ukraine. Yes, you read that right. This allows us to give Ukraine more stuff. Now, South Korea is probably saying, hey, don't give that to Ukraine. But, you know, that's where we are. It's just, you can't make this stuff up. That'll be your Bohica moment of the day. I would imagine this is just backfill, and as we start to utilize it or take it, we'll have to pay South Korea for it. But you just can't make this stuff up. All right, let's get over here to this side. Breaking. Leaked U.S. defense documents show Western forces are on the ground in Ukraine. Well, we've known that for quite some time, or at least we have suspected it, but nobody really said that was what was going on. But it looks like, based on the leaked documents that came out, these are the countries. According to the leaked docs, dated 23 March, UK has the largest contingent of special forces in Ukraine. That's 50 personnel, followed by NATO states. Latvia has 17, France 15, the US 14, and the Netherlands 1. So we're all in, folks, and we've been orchestrating this stuff the entire time. We already know the Pentagon are the ones that are giving Ukraine the surveillance that they need and all the intel that they need, and they're still getting their clocks clean. So not a good situation. All right, let's add some salt to the wound here. More guns, please. Germany should stop being small-minded and hand over arms. More arms, sorry, says Ukraine. So this is an official from Ukraine basically calling Germany small-minded, telling them that they need to start donating more tanks immediately. And so, that didn't age well. I'll say that. So Germany's probably about to just tell everybody to pack sand, I would imagine. Yeah, you can use our base in Ramstein, but other than that, we're out. Yeah, wouldn't be surprised by it. They've already stated, so has UK, that they really aren't in a position to fight or take on Russia. Okay, leaked U.S. documents cast doubt on Ukraine's military capacity. Of course, again, the leaked documents strike one more time. And it says the U.S. has serious concerns about their ability to make significant gains in the upcoming counteroffensive. Yeah, so they admit it right there. We were pushing for that. That would also give us a validation on the data that we've been tracking and trending relative to the large flights, 747s landing in Poland and pre-staging stuff, troops and equipment. We've just seen them keep pushing it all in onto the board there in Poland so that they can get it into Ukraine. So, all right. Now, I've mentioned this multiple times. You will notice that Putin continuously pushes nuclear capability constantly. I'm telling you, he's not messing around. I know there's a lot of folks that say, yeah, he doesn't really mean it. It's not going to happen. But I will tell you, if his back is against the wall and he starts to lose ground in Ukraine, he's going to take this option and put it right on the table. He already has it on the table, but he's going to pull the trigger on it. Russia delivers a warning with an intercontinental ballistic missile launch. That just took place yesterday, and or actually they said this early today, but they did the launch yesterday. So, yeah, this is, I'm telling you, not a good sign. We see it over and over and over from Russia. They fully intend on going nuclear if they have to. Okay, now this one I thought was interesting. I backed the map up and noticed we have a couple of NOTAM boxes going on in northern Greenland. These are ranges, so this tells me they're doing missile launches northbound out of this location. And I don't have any other information on it other than that. I just thought it was interesting. But when the word is used, Bravo range, Charlie range, Delta range, etc., then that tells me more than likely this is going to be, see, you got Charlie range, Delta range, and danger area over high seas. Echo. Well, I even got another one there. So, yeah. Anyway, let's just back that away. A lot of water stuff here, but more than likely they're testing probably hypersonics or something along that line. Okay, get into Europe. You can see it is a hot mess. We got a lot of things going on. Looks like the exercises or operation areas north of Glasgow down to the western side of the North Sea or the eastern side of the UK are back on. Denmark looks to be doing some stuff. This is still a continued hotbed. And let me get over here to the United States and see. It does look like it's picked up a little bit. A lot of these little tiny red dots or orange dots you see are going to be baseball stadiums. So I wouldn't pay too much attention to that. This, let me see what this ties to. Exercises. And come on. Let's try that one more time. Millop, right on the border between New Mexico and Arizona. Keep in mind, too, that this general area is where we see the balloons kind of hanging out. Okay. Let's see. We do have some stuff going up here in Alaska as well. All right. Star Wars map. We are getting peppered today, so if your internet goes down, now you know why. This is just, again, all one-directional stuff. I don't see anything. We used to see it going back and forth it seems to just be everything coming into the United States by everybody and their brother taking a shot at us. So we will move on. Okay, U.S. bombs targets in eastern Syria after rocket attack against occupational base or occupation base. So we've been watching this continue on. Remember that it was actually Iran fired some shots at us. We did nothing in return. I find that interesting because you may remember that Iran was also the ones that took shots at the United States inside Iraq when Trump was president, and we yet again did nothing. Could it be there is a connection there between maybe General Milley or some of the Joint Chiefs that are giving direction not to respond to these? Possibly. Who knows, but we'll continue to watch it. Iran seems to be on the move with their aggression. Must be getting really close to having a nuke. That's all I can say, because you wouldn't act like this unless you had something up your sleeve, right? Middle East expert says that Iran is planning a multi-front attack on Israel. So we've already heard that Israel has activated their reserve in the IDF. They've got forces on the southern end, the northern end, and they are racking and stacking in central Israel as well. Basically, everybody is on high alert. And so this is not good. But I will tell you, I don't believe this is tied to Gog Magog. It could be, but I don't think it is. I think there's going to be a hook that is set, as the Bible describes, that will pull in Russia as part of this. Right now, Russia is not part of any kind of attack on Israel. So this could just be a preliminary thing that goes hot, and then it smooths out, creates peace in the region or something for a very small, short period. And then you see that kind of thing happen. So, okay, let's move on. Let's get over here to what's going on with the Camber flights. Again, a significant uptick in Camber flights today. We've got 9 on the board. Notice that a majority of them are 747-400s, which tells me more than likely these are carrying artillery, okay? The stuff that we just read about, 500,000 rounds. Going to take a lot of flights to get it over to Europe. And I'm sure it's going to Europe. It's not coming to the United States, except for maybe the stuff going into Huntsville. And then we get over here to this. This is going to be Biggs Army Airfield. And the only reason I'm pointing this out is because we do have down here at the bottom, only flight that I see is this one coming in. That is going to be Kaleta Air, 747-400 coming in from Oscoda. That's their home base operation. So more than likely it's coming in empty, and then it is going to fly from there. We'll watch it, but it's a high likelihood that this is not moving troops. It's moving artillery. Okay, over to Dover. So you're going to notice we skipped Fort Dix today because it didn't really have anything going on. Dover, they've got an Atlas Air coming in, a Reach coming in. That's going to be probably a C-17. And then we get down here, you've got more Atlas Air, National Cargo, and a Kaleta Air. Notice all three of these 747s. Here, let me move that up so you can see it. So wide bodies. And then I say wide, but the widest bodies. These things are massive, and they will carry tanks and artillery and a multitude of other things. Helicopters. You can do a lot of stuff you can put inside those. All right. And then this, notice the Camber flight is headed to RZE. That's Poland. From there, that's one of the 747s. The others haven't made it on the board yet. So we'll come back and see where they ended up going. Probably same place. All right. This is going to be Ramstein. And we've got, again, that's going to be Navy Logistics. Notice it's not giving me types here, which is interesting. This one is Atlas Air 747 coming in from Baltimore, Washington. And then we go over here to our outbound board, and that's where it gets a little heavier. We've got a C-17 leaving, another C-17, a Navy Logistics, a Camber flight, 747, destination unknown, Spar flight, Dignitary, that's going to be one of your blue and whites. Air Transport International, that's probably going to be troops coming in from Portsmouth. Then we go down, you've got a Camber flight. I say coming in from Portsmouth, leaving to Portsmouth, sorry. And that could be doing a troop rotation. And then we've got this Camber flight headed to Kuwait. So it looks like we're moving some assets to the Middle East from there. And then another Reach C-17. Again, that's Ramstein Air Force Base in Germany. And then this is RZE. This is where it gets really interesting. As we go down the line here, that's an Antonov coming in, A-124. If you're not familiar with that, it's the largest aircraft in the world. It's a Russian aircraft. Doesn't mean that it's the Ruskies flying into Poland. Well, it is, but it's their aircraft. It's not the military, okay? They move a lot of stuff. When those guys come in, it's like it's bigger than a 747. It carries a lot of equipment and supplies. So then we got a camber flight coming in from Anchorage. Let's go on down the line here. See who we have. NATO support procurement multi. Well, that's interesting. Coming in from, I don't know where that is. All right, now the camber flight coming in from Dover. Camber flight, Anchorage, big boys. Notice that a lot of the equipment that's coming into Poland are wide body, big aircraft, 747s. So they're moving a lot of stuff that goes boom and a lot of troops and a lot of equipment. All right, X-filling out of there. It's going to be a Coletta Air. And we get on down. Again, there goes your NATO bird, Atlas Air. That's going to be a Navy Logistics. There is your Antonov. No, that's going to be Ministry of Defense from Spain, AME. And there's your Coletta leaving, headed to Seoul, Korea. Probably heading over to get some of that 500,000 rounds of boom. All right. And then there's a Western Global coming in from Frankfurt. UPS also coming in. Let's go down a little. All right. That's going to be RZ. Very, very active, very busy, putting a lot of assets in place. And then this is National Cargo, 747 coming out of Shanghai. And no telling what they're carrying. They could just be backfilling for some of the other routes or let's say, for example, Atlas Air could subcontract to them to move some things for them. So that may be what's happening if they've had to repurpose equipment. Okay, let's move on. This is going to be Navy Logistics. We've got them in Saudi. We've got them headed out of, looks to be Marseille, France. Okay. Okay, and then one here domestically in the U.S. Again, Navy Logistics. And then this is going to be Western Global, and that coming out of Frankfurt, and then this one here coming out of Tokyo. So very active. Again, big boys, 747 and MD-11s. Not too many people flying MD-11s these days. And it looks like Omni has since landed, but we had one flight coming from Shannon, Ireland into Norfolk. All right, it's going to be your Brits. They are, let's see, we've got them down. Looks like they're coming out of Bordeaux, headed back to the UK. And then this one here, another one inbound to the UK. And this one here also just getting airborne. It looks to be coming out of Cyprus. It's climbing out. It's at 9,100 feet, 330 miles an hour on the climb out. And this looks to be Puerto Rico. I think it is. No, maybe not. Where is that? Let's see. Come on. Robert L. Bradshaw International. It's not letting me mouse over this for some reason. So I'm just going to click on it. And St. Kitts. Never heard of that in my life. Okay. And these are going to be your Ruskies. Two small little birds taking off. This is going to be Moscow right here. And I don't know what that is, but we're going to just take a look and see what we've got on the board. So 2 flights from Moscow, and then this one coming out of Novgorod. And those are smaller aircraft. I don't know what type they are. They are not Putin. I will tell you that just by the call-outs over here. So just give you a general idea. All right. Well, that, folks, is going to be it for today. It looks like the leaks are doing some damage. It appears that we had a lot of initiatives in play. Looks like we've had our hand caught in the cookie jar. And again, it looks like we continue to push in a multitude of equipment and ordnance and troops into Europe. It looks like our focus is really shifted to Europe versus China, although we still have a lot going on in China. But it does look like a majority of, or a lion's share of the movements are European-centric, okay? Now, the surveys, we're going to continue to watch it. It looks like it has started to migrate a little bit to the west, but for the most part, it is really concentrated over the Northeast and the center of the United States down southbound into Atlanta and the likes, the Carolinas, etc. So really don't know what it's up to. It is very clear that it is not a state effort. It looks to be a federal or a DOD effort, more than likely DOD. And that to me is very concerning. So we'll continue to watch it and report on it and see if anything changes. But this is a good time to stay frosty and definitely keep that powder dry. All right, that's it. You guys be safe out there. God bless. Monkey out. Check out the latest gear and products at monkeyworksus.com.